Hi guys, my name is Dylan, and I'm going to be playing through Tears of the Kingdom in the most linear way possible. I'm trying to see if the story is more substantial, if done in a linear sort of way. A redditor named Cookie Doodle came up with a list of things to do in order to play the story more linearly. I'm going to be following the structured approach closely. This way you can judge for yourself if the story is done better. This way you can judge for yourself if the story is better when done in such a way, which I believe it will be. I will change one thing on this list. The Forgotten Temple is a little later on in the list, but I decided to do it sooner as I felt it helped set up the geoglyphs that I will be completing a lot of in Act 2. I divided the list into a first act, second act, and third act to help with the story flow. Act 1 begins with the prologue and ends with the Rito story arc. Alright, let's begin. The story starts with Zelda and I going beneath Hyrule Castle to find the source of gloom. There, Zelda discovers that the gloom is increasing as they go farther. I spoke to Zelda to see if she had anything else to say, and she told me that she never knew this place was down here. Zelda then said that the gloom is causing people to fall ill, and that it doesn't appear to pose a threat to them though. She then wants to solve the mystery of the gloom. In the meantime, I try to pretend that I've never played this game before. The Master Sword senses some goblins nearby and alerts Zelda. We then move deeper while I practice sword swinging. Examining a fallen pillar, Zelda believes it must be from the Zonai. I then talk to Zelda, who tells me that she was forbidden from going down here, which doesn't make sense because she just said she didn't know this place existed. Zelda examines some more Zonai carvings, and she tells me that the Zonai lived long ago and were quite powerful and prosperous, but that she knows next to nothing aside from what is written in some history books. I guess the Hyrule historian needs a bit of an update. Zelda then admires some statues that reflect how the Zonai looked long ago. She wonders how a sky civilization can end up beneath the castle. Must be foreshadowing or something. I clapped a couple of keys with the Blade of Evil's Bane, and Zelda asks if we're hurt. I guess she forgot that Link beat Calamity Ganon. Zelda tells me to look at some murals, and tells me about a war fought between Hylian tribes and the Demon King. She then wonders if the murals depict the same legend she heard about in her history books. Another mural depicts the Zonai coming down from the sky. Apparently, Zelda's ancestors were born from gods that had come down from the heavens. She then suggests that the gods were actually the Zonai. The Zonai and Hylians work together to create the Kingdom of Hyrule, but this guy takes something. Another mural then shows a battle against him. Zelda then says that this mural must depict the Imprisoning War. I'm positive this is the last time we'll hear about the Imprisoning War. Zelda uses her Puripad to take some pictures, but finds the remaining murals obscured by some rocks. We continue deeper. I tried to get a good look at the hidden mural and assumed it's probably the Demon King, judging by his long, flowing locks in the previous mural. I made my way down some more stairs, and we discover a strange chamber. A strange figure is bent over backwards with a weird hand on his chest. It's none other than dehydrated Ganon. The hand falls and drops a tear-shaped stone which glows in Zelda's hand. The strange figure then awakens and nearly gives Zelda the TOTK treatment, but not before Link gets it. The tendrils leave me with 3 hearts and badly damage my arm and the Master Sword. It's also known as the Blade of Evil's Bane. Dehydrated Ganon flexes his powers and raises Hyrule Castle into the sky. Zelda falls and I can't catch her in time. She disappears and I'm saved from that hand from earlier. I then get the full Ashitaka treatment with a really powerful arm. A disembodied voice speaks to me and tells me that Zelda has told him many things about me. It turns out that my arm wasn't able to be saved and was replaced with what appears to be the arm that saved me earlier. That arm saved me twice now, so I guess I owe it. I then picked up the Master Sword only to find that it has become decayed after my fight with Ganondorf. I made my way through the cave and then dived off the Sky Island. I landed on a pond and then went up and spoke to the Steward's construct, who gives me the Puripad that Zelda had been using earlier underneath Hyrule Castle. I'm informed that Zelda is waiting at the Garden of Time. I dived down again into another pool of water and began the trek to the Garden of Time, which was pretty close to where I was. I was unable to open the door, and that's when Rauru appeared, explaining I'm not strong enough to open it. I guess I need to work out more. Raru believes the shrines hold the keys to opening the closed door, so I have to complete them all. There's one pretty close by, so I choose to head there. I got up to the top of this rock and then activated it and went inside. I'm given the power of Ultra Hand, which will allow me to move objects. I next have to overcome a series of pretty simple puzzles to make it to the end of the shrine, where I receive my first light of blessing. I'm going to need 2 more of these to get stronger. I scoped out the next 2 shrines and made my way to the one that seemed less cold, but I had to grab one thing before I went there. Alright, now that I'm properly dressed, I can make my way to the shrine. In this next shrine, I gained the power of Fuse. I fused a Zonite Construct Horn to a stick and then made my way through the shrine. At the end of it, I fought a construct that was no match for my stick and boulder combo. 2 blessings down, 1 to go. I made my way to this snowy area and consumed a meal that gave me some cold resistance. I fought some constructs and activated the next shrine. Raru gave me the power to ascend. After a few simple puzzles, I got the 3rd and final light of blessing. Now I can go back to the Garden of Time and see Zelda. I'm able to activate the door and go inside thanks to the 3 blessings. This completes the closed door quest. Inside, Zelda gives me the power to recall, and then it was at this point that I wasted 1 hour of my life trying to get back to the Sky Island I originally woke up in, because I had no idea I was supposed to try to open this door. Thanks, game. After going back and then trying to open the door, Raru gave me the most important power, fast travel, which I used to get back to the Sky Island with the resurrection chamber on it. After teleporting, I used recall on the wheels and found the last shrine. Since I've already been given the power to recall, Raru won't be appearing. I solved the puzzles and got to the end where I got the last light of blessing. Now I can upgrade my hearts at the statue and open the door. Finally. Raru gave me words of encouragement and then disappeared. Thanks, Super Saiyan 3 looking guy. I made my way across and then placed the Master Sword in this golden light where Zelda took it. From a time I have no clue. I then dove off the platform to the land of Hyrule. As per the to-do list, now that I'm done with the Great Sky Island, I'll have to make my way to Lookout Landing and complete whatever quests I find there. It wasn't long before I fought my first Bokoblin. After I killed him, I grabbed his stuff. Then I continued my trek towards Lookout Landing. In Mabe Village ruins, I attempted to sneak strike another Bokoblin, but then he spotted me, so I just took him out the regular way of bringing my sword down on him. I spotted a boss Bokoblin in the distance and didn't feel equipped to handle him, so I just went right past him. I examined this pool of water that kinda looked like a tear. I spoke to the guard at the entrance to Lookout Landing, and he told me that he hasn't seen me in a while, that Zelda is missing, that the castle in the sky, and that I should probably go talk to Pura. Instead of speaking to Pura, I spoke to Robbie, who also wonders where I have been. It's like I've been in a coma and 100 years have passed, and there's been a great calamity. But at least I still remember everything. Josha greets me before Pura comes storming out. I then recount the events of Underneath Hyrule Castle to her. I spoke to Miley about the chasms that have opened up around Hyrule, and I'd like to avoid them because they sound spooky. Rasino can be added to the list of people surprised to see me. He tells me that Haas is at the first gatehouse, so I made my ascent to there. I spoke to Perpin, who told me that all the weapons had become decayed during the upheaval. Strange. I finally found Captain Haas. Seeing me, he thinks Zelda must also be safe, but I have to break the news to him. He is at least happy I'm back. Another guard spots Zelda, who then disappears. Haas tells me to go back and tell Pura about this. I then made my descent. I spoke to this creepy statue who only wanted pose. I tell Pura about Princess Zelda. She believes we need to investigate the upheaval now. I give her my Pura pad so that it can be used in conjunction with the Skyview Towers. I bought some Hylian trousers and then opened up the emergency shelter. I went down the ladder and checked out the map. I activated the towers across Hyrule. I also got my trusty paraglider back and then used the Lookout Landing Tower to fill out the central Hyrule part of the map. Pura tells me about the regional phenomena. She tells me that Zelda was spotted in Rito Village, so that sounds like the first spot I should go check out. But first, Pura suggests I should go to the Lucky Clover Gazette. Gazette? I have no clue how to pronounce it. I'm gonna say Gazette. Next on the agenda are the Lookout Landing quests, so I went down and spoke to Robbie, who tells me about the depths and the chasms which lead to them. Joseph talks about a piece of slate with a picture on it and theorizes there was once an advanced race that lived in the depths. Robbie decides he's going to go investigate and I'm coming with him. I spoke to Anson, who told me about these hot air balloons, which look pretty cool. I finally set off from Lookout Landing in search of the chasm that Robbie and Joshua want me to investigate. After some running, I found it next to a shrine. I did the shrine to gain another blessing. I activated the light route so that I could see the surrounding area. I read a note on the table that talked about the light route, and that's about it. I read another notebook on the table and made my way to the next light route. I continued making my way to the next light route while using bright bloom seeds to light my way. I found Robbie in the depths, who upgraded the Purapad with a neat camera feature. I next had to take a picture of the statue using said feature. Robbie was pleased with the picture and told me he would see me back at Lookout Landing. Spoke to Penn at Lookout Landing before talking to Robbie and showing Joshua the picture. Joshua rewards me with 5 Zonite. Thanks, Joshua. This completes camera work in the depths. I then teleported to Serene Stable and cooked a bit of food. I went over to this platform where I met Impa. She tells me about the geoglyphs that have appeared throughout the kingdom. She was going to use the hot air balloon to get a better view of a nearby geoglyph, but a gust of wind broke it. Using Ultra Hand, I'm easily able to fix the balloon. With Impa on it, I'm now able to get a better view, but it of course needs some fire, so I threw a fire fruit on it. Up in the sky now, Impa tells me about the dragon's tears, but she doesn't know what it could mean. However, Impa figures the tear should be near the geoglyph and wants me to float down and find it, and I think I know just where it is. I easily spotted the tear in the eye of the dragon, and this showed me where Zelda was transported to. Zelda awakens in an unknown time period, and we're introduced to Queen Sonia and again to King Rauru. Zelda says she is the daughter of King Rome and is surprised to meet the founders of Hyrule. Zelda realizes she must have traveled back in time. This completes the main quest of Impa and the Geoglyphs, which starts a new quest, the Dragon's Tears. Next on the list of things to do was to make my way over to the Forgotten Temple. Gotten a scrap of the Moblin and an Aracuda and a Bokoblin. It was easy work using a Dazzle Fruit to stun them. I unlocked this shrine and saw Hinox in the distance and opted to avoid it. I don't feel like wasting gear at this moment. Finally made my way to the Forgotten Temple. Thinking these were bombable rocks, I tried to blow it up and failed. I then found the entrance. I glided down to some Bokoblins and used Sneak Strike to take them out. After making my way up this wall, I used some Ice Fruit so I could take out these bad guys one by one. I climbed up another wall and unlocked the Forgotten Temple Shrine. I spoke to Impa, who told me she's trying to find more clues about the geoglyphs in the temple, but so far has been unsuccessful. I went further into the temple to find more about the Dragon's Tears. I discovered this map of Hyrule and went down to check it out. Lady Impa then appeared with Kato. Impa is eager to investigate the geoglyphs more to hopefully find Zelda's whereabouts, and tells me I should investigate them as well. I took a picture of the map for future reference, and then made my focus the regional phenomena. My next objective was to head for the Tabantha Bridge, so I could figure out what was happening to the Rito. I activated Lindor's Brow Skyview Tower so I'd have a portion of the Tabantha region filled out for reference. I did the shrine on Courage Island and glided over to the Tabantha Bridge stable. Hopping on a horse, I made my way to the Lucky Clover Gazette. Arriving at the Gazette, I spoke to Penn, who told me that Tracy is investigating where Zelda could be. He then realizes it's Link, which is me, and assumes I came for the job of being a reporter for them. Tracy scolds Penn, who then realizes that Link is there. Link told her that Impa wanted me to help investigate the upheaval. Tracy tells me that Zelda has been appearing all throughout Hyrule in odd places and asks me to investigate. I began to make my way to the tower. Took out another Bokoblin camp so I'd have more weapons and supplies. Once I spotted the twin bonfires, I spoke to Neck and then started hiking up the mountain to get to the Skyview Tower. Unfortunately, there were spikes in the ground surrounding it, so I'll have to either burn the spikes or fly over them. I opted to burn them all. I then activated it. Now with all of Hebra updated on my map, it'll be easier to explore the region. I glided over to the Rito village, but feared I would run out of stamina. Thankfully, I made some potions earlier, so I was able to easily land safely in the spot near the village. I activated the shrine there for fast travel, of course. I'm unfortunately too broke to buy the Rito armor, which I'll need later, for when the temperatures get extremely low, so I teleported back to Central Hyrule to farm monsters and hopefully get some nice loot to sell. I took out the boss Bokoblin from earlier with ease. With his drops, I'm now able to make stronger weapons. I took out the stone tablets in this cave and it dropped a lot of amber, which I can sell for 10 rupees. Used to be 60 rupees in Breath of the Wild. I guess the upheaval made everything less valuable. I went back to Hyrule Castle and grabbed more gear, so I'll be ready to tackle the Rito story arc. I teleported back to the Rito shop and sold my loot. Now I'm able to buy the snow quill headdress and I'm ready for the cold. Tulin and Teba have a bit of a squabble before Tulin decides to fly off. Saki tells me about the song of the legendary Stormwind Arc and how something is causing a blizzard after the upheaval. The blizzard is causing a lot of problems for the village, so it's up to me to stop it. Teba tells me to speak to Hearth, who is in the lodge by the twin bonfires I saw earlier. I tried gliding over but failed, so I teleported to the Skyview Tower and headed down to speak to Hearth. Hearth tells me how good of a flyer Tulin is, and about his wind gust technique. Hearth explains that they were on their way to the Hebra South Summit Cave, which means I'm going to have to scale the mountain if I want to find Tulin. I now need to find the bonfire at the mouth of the cave. I made my way up the mountain, and despite the frigid temperatures, I won't lose any hearts thanks to my clothing. I made short work of some keys and a group of bokoblins. I easily spotted the bonfire and spoke to Lysa inside the cave. She warned me about a creature that hops around the walls. Great. Ugh. This place is full of thorns, so I've got to be careful. But of course I'm going to break every crackable ice like I'm Peppa Pig in a muddy puddle. Afterwards, I used this column of air to go higher and farther into the caves. I then found the thing that clings to walls and took him out. I reached a part of the cave with no air column to progress, but with an unlit campfire. So I used a fire fruit to light it up, and then a pine cone to expand the bonfire and make another column of air to take it up. Man, did that ever make me feel smart. Giselle, can't pronounce that, but she explains that Tulin flew off, chasing some monsters back to their nest, and to head for a lone cedar tree on Toronto Peak. You got it. I found a boss bokoblin and his minions. I used a simple tactic that involved freezing him a bunch of times and then taking out his minions, which worked quite well. I unfroze a bokoblin just so he could eat a spear. I found the lone cedar tree and sure enough, Tulin was right there. He tells me that a monster took his bow, so now we'll have to get it back. As well, he tells me that with his wind gust technique, it'll be easy to glide over long distances. With a well-placed arrow to the tail, the arrow Kuda drops Tulin's bow and now we're ready to head to the Stormwind Arc. But not before more bokoblins show up. With Tulin's bow and my spear, we're easily able to take out all three of the monsters. A mysterious voice that sounds very similar to Rivali calls to us and neither of us know what it could be. Tulin shows his character development to Hearth by telling him he shouldn't have gone up here alone. Hearth explains that it's fine. Hearth now believes that the blizzard is coming from inside the cloud. Hearth also remarks that he's surprised that Tulin lost his bow, but Tulin blames this on spotting Zelda getting attacked by monsters. He says Zelda flew above the cloud causing the blizzard. Hearth says Tulin should come with me and investigate because he's the only Rito capable of flying in these winds. Tulin tells me that he spotted Zelda on one of the Hebra Sky Islands, so that sounds like our next destination. I started a fight between some bokoblins and constructs and enjoyed the carnage. I mopped up the remaining enemies and then grabbed the spoils. Aerokudas tried to drop snowballs on me, so I sniped them out of the sky. This next section involves using a combination of Tulin's wind gust technique and the glider to cross various sky islands. We found a floating ship and then a mysterious voice spoke to us. And then we caught a glimpse of the Stormwind Arc in the clouds. Tulin remarks that everything happening reminds him of the song of the Stormwind Arc. I unlocked a shrine for easy fast travel and continued making my way to the Stormwind Arc. I sneak striked a construct. I took out these constructs from a distance, using my bow to save on weapon durability. There might be a flux construct up here that would be fun to fight and I'll need my good gear for it. Using some rock cubes and Ultra Hand, I was able to get to the top of this sky island. I wasn't sure how to get to the top here until I looked down and saw more stone cubes. Using them in Ascend, I was able to get to the top. Gotta admit, these are some pretty fun environmental puzzles. Crackly ice! Spotted a flux construct and figured I should show it who's boss. It was quite an easy fight thanks to Tulin's snipes and my gear. I just made it into this little hole in the wall to grab some loot. Some Aerokudas tried to give me a hard time, but they were made short work of. I nearly ran out of stamina trying to dodge the Aerokuda and get to the trampoline thing. I was running low on healables, so I used a Zonai pot and cooked some food, using the ingredients I had found and foraged and had saved up. Nothing like seafood to fill an empty stomach. Got into another fight with more constructs. Using my fused weapon, it was pretty easy. But then this bridge started to collapse as I made my way across and just barely made it. I fused this flamethrower Zonai device to a platform and made a cool hot air balloon to continue my ascension. I unlocked another shrine. Now there's pretty much no sky islands to use, so I'm gonna have to time my jumps in Tulin's wind gusts to make it between ships. I made it to the sky island and used another trampoline to get above the storm where I saw the Stormwind Arc. I finally made it to the Wind Temple, the legendary Stormwind Arc. Zelda was up here for some reason, but when Tulin tried to get close to her, a jet of wind shot up. Tulin said, "This proves the storm is coming from here." Thanks, Tips. I activated the Zonai device. Unfortunately, the blizzard won't stop until I open all the hatches. Rivali spoke to us again and told us that we're going to have to use Tulin's wind gust power to unlock the locks in order to open the hatch to stop the blizzard. I used the Ultra Hand to fuse an icicle to this lever, and turning it was able to open the door. With Tulin's wind gust, I activated the turbine and had the effect of opening one of the locks. I made my way to the basement. I then used rewind on this thing to get across where the next turbine was behind this gate. To open the locked door, I used an icicle to attach the two wheels together and open up the way to the turbine. 2 locks down, 3 to go. For the next turbine, it was on the first floor but was inaccessible, so I had to make my way through the ship to get to it. I fought some constructs and then fused a rock to the shaft, and with Tulin's wind gust got it spinning. I was then able to activate the next turbine. This left 2 more turbines. I wasn't sure how to get to this turbine in the first floor of the basement until I checked my map and realized there was an opening to it on the first floor of the ship. I used the wind in the center of the ship to get high up, and then was able to open these 2 doors using Ultra Hand. With that turbine activated, I only had 1 lock left to get the hatch open. I checked the map again and realized there were 2 more openings on the underside of the ship that I'd have to carefully glide over to. Tulin saved my skin fighting this construct. Now with all the wind turbines activated, all locks are open, and I can now open the hatch. A scary, spiky, sky, icy serpent thing pops up out of the hatch, and a very keen Tulin realizes that it must be causing the blizzard, and its name is Colgera. The only way to defeat it is to wait for all the spikes to shoot out of its back to reveal its weak spot. Crackly ice. Oh yeah. After taking out 3 of its crackly ice spots, it summoned a tornado that I now had to dodge to hurt Colgera. I dived through another crackly ice and then sniped the other one with my bow. I dodged numerous tornadoes and the spikes and then dove for its last crackly ice, taking out Colgera. The blizzard is over and my reward is a heart piece, as well as this shiny stone. Must be a secret to all of us. After Tulin touches the stone, this ancient Rito warrior guy speaks to us and reveals he is Tulin's ancestor. Tulin's ancestor tells us about the imprisoning war, and I'm sure this is the only time we'll hear about this. Thousands of years ago, Rauru assembled the Hylian Avengers and gave them all Infinity Stones to fight Thanos. Secret Stones to fight the Demon King. But the Demon King was too powerful. King Rauru sacrificed himself to imprison the Demon King, and that was the end of the imprisoning war. Zelda appears and asks the Sage of Wind to help Link in the future when the Demon King awakens. Tulin promises his support to me and gives us his wind gust technique. Awesome. After that, all the snow melts in Rito Village and it is again saved. Teba gives Tulin a fancy bow. Thus completes the Rito story arc.